Look, science fiction is officially dead. Actually, scratch that. It hasn't died. It's just become our everyday reality. Today, we are unpacking a massive paradigm shift, one that is going to irrevocably alter human history. I'm talking about the rapid, literally unstoppable escalation of artificial intelligence. In this explainer, we're going to see how AI is aggressively breaking out of our web browsers and spilling out into the real world. We're talking about a complete rewiring of our global economy, a total transformation of the workforce, and, quite frankly, the incredibly high-stakes evolution of global warfare. We've got a ton of ground to cover, so let's just dive right in.
Right out of the gate, check out this number. $15.7 trillion. According to PwC, that is exactly how much value AI could inject into the global economy by the year 2030. 15.7 trillion. To put that into perspective, that single figure is larger than the entire economic output of most nations on Earth combined right now. It's an absolute game changer. But it also forces us to ask a pretty provocative question, right? What does a wealth shift of this massive, unprecedented magnitude actually mean for humanity? Are we actually prepared for the shockwaves this is going to send through literally every aspect of our lives?
So how do we even get there? Well, the core engine driving all of this is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. Now, we're all super familiar with generative AI by now, right? Things like ChatGPT that just create text or images, but we are rapidly moving past that into the era of agentic AI, and ultimately, AGI. This is the holy grail. We're talking about a level of AI that matches or outright surpasses human capabilities across virtually all cognitive tasks. Imagine a machine that doesn't just answer a prompt, but perfectly mimics the multitasking reflexes of the human brain, solving totally new problems without ever being explicitly programmed to do so. To really grasp this, you have to look at exactly where humanity currently stands. Google DeepMind recently mapped out these 5 levels to classify AGI performance. And look at this. Our most famous bleeding-edge models today, like ChatGPT or Llama 2, they are literally only sitting at level 1, the emerging phase. At this level, they're roughly equal to an unskilled human. We're just at the starting line. But with billions upon billions of dollars flooding into research, we are accelerating toward level 5, an artificial superintelligence, way faster than anyone initially predicted. Okay, a really fun, concrete way to think about AGI is what researchers call the IKEA test. It's exactly what it sounds like. Can an AI completely take over a robot and autonomously assemble a flat-pack piece of furniture just by looking at the random parts and instructions with zero human help? It sounds kind of quirky, but it requires an insane amount of general cognitive ability to pull off. Think of it like the cloud. 10 years ago, storing your personal photos in this invisible cloud was a terrifying concept for a lot of people. And now, it's just a totally normal, boring utility. Well, AGI is going to be completely mainstreamed in that exact same way. Section 1. Robotics and the workforce. The sheer scale of the transformation hitting the workforce is just staggering. Based on data from the World Economic Forum, 86% of employers expect AI and information processing to be the primary driver of their business transformation by 2030. And look what's right on its heels at 58%, robots and autonomous systems. What we're witnessing here is the absolute fusion of digital intelligence with physical machinery. The AI is getting a body. So, the million-dollar question, what does this mean for our jobs? Well, this data from Indeed and GPT-4o gives us a pretty fascinating reality check. If your job relies heavily on deep physical execution, complex sensory processing, or profound human empathy, you're actually pretty safe right now. Your substitution risk is very low. But if your day-to-day revolves around theoretical knowledge, data mining, or digital manipulation, well, you are facing a moderate to high risk of being substituted. But here's the real takeaway. It isn't just that AI will magically replace all humans. It's that a human who effectively uses AI is absolutely going to replace a human who doesn't. And things get really wild when AI becomes a literal physical worker. Enter the Tesla Optimus V3. Guys, this isn't some slick CGI concept video anymore. This is a physical manifestation of AI designed to handle over 3,000 discrete tasks. It is currently being deployed on actual Tesla factory floors right now, doing things like battery cell sorting and quality inspection. The crazy part? It operates using the exact same neural networks derived from Tesla's full self-driving cars, all running on their brand new AI5 chip. AI has officially put on a hard hat. And the financial shockwaves of this physical AI shift are mind-blowing. Goldman Sachs is projecting that the humanoid robot market alone could be worth an incredible $6 trillion by 2035. And fueling this massive explosion is the essential behind-the-scenes infrastructure from tech giants like NVIDIA. They have these platforms called Isaac and Omniverse, which basically let developers create
physically accurate digital twins. It's like a hyper-realistic video game, where these robots can train safely in a simulation millions of times before they ever take a single step in the real world. Section 2. The macroeconomic explosion. Going back to PwC, they estimate that by 2030, a massive 326 million jobs are going to be directly impacted by AI globally. But we really need to read between the lines on this data. Yes, initial job displacement is absolutely going to hit unskilled roles the hardest. However, when it comes to skilled labor, the technology is heavily biased toward augmentation, not replacement. It's going to empower professionals to do way more, much faster, and at a higher quality. We are looking at a historic fundamental restructuring of human productivity. And when you map that productivity explosion out on a global scale, the contrasts are super stark. North America is set to see a really healthy 14.5% GDP boost from AI by 2030. But look at China. Because they are starting from a lower baseline of labor productivity, the mass implementation of AI and automation positions them for an unbelievable 26.1% GDP leap. That is massive. It's essentially an economic arms race, and it's going to completely dictate the global balance of power for the rest of this century. Section 3. The global arms race.
The writing has been on the wall for a while now. Back in their 2019 National Defense White Paper, the Chinese military explicitly stated, quote, "Intelligentized warfare is on the horizon." The People's Liberation Army is aggressively pursuing a total transformation. They are pouring immense resources into AI, robotics, and machine learning. Their clear, objective goal is to bridge the technological gap and fundamentally alter the very mechanisms of how future wars are fought and won. Now, this brings us to a highly critical debate happening right now in military AI. On one side, we have assisted or augmented intelligence. This is where you have a human actively in the loop, making the final, fatal decisions. But on the other side, that's the high-stakes reality we are rapidly accelerating toward: autonomous intelligence. Zero humans in the loop. The AI senses its environment, adapts, and acts entirely on its own. And trying to regulate this on a global scale is proving to be a logistical nightmare. Just look at how different the definitions are. The U.S. Department of Defense defines an autonomous weapon simply as a system that can select and engage targets without further human intervention. Pretty straightforward, right? But the Chinese delegation to the UN proposed a highly restrictive, almost convoluted definition for a ban. They require that the weapon must be impossible to terminate, and it must exhibit unexpected evolutionary learning. Look, when global superpowers can't even agree on the basic definition of what an autonomous weapon actually is, establishing any sort of effective global arms control becomes a monumental challenge. And, while the diplomats sit in rooms debating definitions, the global defense conglomerates are busy building. We are already seeing the deployment of Jari multi-purpose unmanned naval vessels, older tanks being retrofitted to run completely autonomously, and the integration of deep neural networks directly into hypersonic glide vehicles. What's highly concerning to defense analysts is that the export of highly capable systems like the Winglong and CH-4 armed drones is already accelerating the spread of these technologies to militaries in the Middle East and beyond.
Ultimately, researchers are warning us that the absolute greatest threat right now is simply the danger of the unknown. A real battlefield isn't a clean, controlled NVIDIA simulation. It's chaotic, it's messy, and it's totally unpredictable. Complex AI systems are highly prone to failures and bizarre accidents in these contested environments. Rushing totally untested, fully autonomous weapons into the fog of war without any meaningful human control, that carries the profound, terrifying risk of triggering rapid, completely unintended military escalation. So, from a $15.7 trillion economic boom to factory floors manned by swarms of humanoids, all the way to the grim, high-stakes reality of an autonomous global arms race, we are actively living through the most dramatic technological shift in human history. So I want to leave you with this final profound question to chew on today. Are we truly ready for a world where artificial intelligence decides, acts, and evolves entirely on its own? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next one.